is Suzanne Shoblom. Suzanne is kind of a native. She actually went to high school out in boroughs of Ridgecrest. You guys know where Ridgecrest is?
Yep.
China Lake.
China Lake out there? Anyway, that's where she graduated, but she very soon after graduating from high school saw the light and moved out here to Ventura County and showing up in Ventura of all places. And she spent a few years here in Ventura, moved back to Ridgecrest for a while, spent some time with the working for the State Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation up in Sacramento, which is, I assume, where she learned a little bit about protection and how to watch out for yourselves in neighborhoods that aren't so maybe nice. In 2013, she returned to Port Hueneme. She lives over in the north side of town. That's where I live. Tim, you're on the north side of town,
Yes, sir.
too, right? Tom's on the south side of town.
Yeah, we're separated by what, 1 mile?
Separated.
He's on the other side of the railroad.
Other side of the
That
tracks. Yeah,
gate.
other side of the tracks. Anyway, and in 2011, Suzanne started a business called Damsel in Defense. And again, this is really important stuff for everybody to understand and to know a little bit about. And that's what she's going to tell us about today. So if you'd, the floor is now yours, Suzanne.
Thanks, you guys. How much time do I have?
You have all the time you want. We'll leave if you get boring.
Okay, I'm leaving now.
Where's my stun gun? Thanks, you guys. I'm so excited to be speaking with you guys this morning. I'm going to speak a little bit from some notes, but I'm also just going to speak about passion, and I'm going to engage the audience, and I'd like to hear some feedback from you guys. I am from Northern California, which is where I started Damsel in Defense. Because of the Silicon Valley out there, they are very innovative. They're very entrepreneur-minded, very on board with personal safety and businesses. And it's been a very tough, it's been very challenging for me down here. And I can see the switch in the business with a different culture. And so what the mission of Damsel in Defense is all about is mostly educating women on personal safety and prevention. What we want to do is we want to give you the education, we want to equip you with the products, but also have you have the empowerment that you, when you go into a situation, that you have the knowledge to recognize if you shouldn't be in that situation. So I am an independent rep with Damsel in Defense. We are a home party company. I don't call them home parties, I call them safety seminars. Some of the reps call them empower hours. I can't get in and out in an hour at a home party. I don't know who can, but I can. So mine is a safety seminar because you'll leave here today being more knowledgeable of something of personal safety. So anyway, these two women started this company. They have traveled, let me go a little bit through this. I have passed out lots of statistics to you guys. Let's check it out. See how dangerous Port Hueneme is compared to the nearest cities. And I saw a lot of you guys looking this over. So Port Hueneme, higher means more crime. This isn't a percentage, these are just numbers. So third highest. So a little bit higher than Oxnard. Why? Probably because of the population, right? So
Well, Suzanne, what is that number? The number of incidences of crime, or how is that number derived? Because like Ventura has a larger population. For
right,
example.
exactly. So it's not a percentage, but it's a ratio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I should have given some more information on here. I realized later, I'm like, what is that number? But it does say higher means more crime. So it's per capita, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And like I said, Damsel in Defense is about a mission. We are never, ever, ever about scaring you into buying something or staying in your house locked with all the doors locked, because you don't want to go out because you're scared. This is just some knowledge that I pulled for you. The next little bit of information I pulled from RAIN, which is Rape and Incest National Network. And that's also on the front of your binders. There's some information that I've printed out from RAIN about statistics. So 1 out of every 6 American women has been the victim of an attempted or completed rape in her lifetime. 3% of American men, or 1 in 33, have experienced an attempted or completed rape in their lifetime. And what do these numbers say? These are probably low compared to what actually happens, right? Because what amount of crime is not reported? Someone breaks into your car, you don't want to pay the deductible, you don't report it, there's no vandalism in your neighborhood, right? Now your city's safer because you didn't report it, but also the national average is a lot lower because there's a lot of stuff that isn't reported. And wouldn't a man in a situation get reported as easily as a woman, for being embarrassed or whatever? 15% of sexual assault and rape victims are under age 12. 7% of girls in grades 5 to 8 and 12% of girls in grades 9 to 12 say that they have been sexually abused. And one more quick bit of bad information. No, 93. This is always just the toughest part of my job, is to just make you aware of statistics that are out there, because that's not something we research on a daily basis. So I'm going to give you some knowledge of that. 93% of juvenile sexual assault victims know their attacker. And that's very important to know, because a lot of people think that the bad guys hide in bushes. And did anybody hear the news recently in Fort Wayne, the little 7-year-old girl outside playing and the guy did jump out of the bushes? Did you guys hear about that? So I sent that to my son, who's 13, and I live in the north side. And so relocating from Northern California to Southern California was a little bit more expensive, and so I got what I could afford. And so I live Victoria and Hemlock, and it's not the best neighborhood for my kids, so I have to be real careful. But I sent that to my son because he likes to hang out outside with his friends and skateboard and stuff, and I had to teach him kind of what hanging out outside really entails, because I want him to be aware, but also, we're not in the best area. So, yeah, a guy jumped out of a bush, told the little girl that he had candy for her. She said, no, get away from me, and he actually grabbed her. Then he went to the next level and grabbed her. She stomped on his feet and ran away. So my son's like, why are you sending this to me, right? Because he's 13 and he has all the answers. And I'm like, because I want you to be aware that it's happening right in our neighborhood. At any given time, you don't know when it's going to happen. So, let's see, statistics, yeah. Child is abducted every 40 seconds. Some of you guys have heard me say that when we do the Teacher of the Month. I want to work a little bit more with schools as far as educating the kids. I've had grandmas come up to me and say, I was in Simi Valley, and she said, you're scaring my granddaughter by telling her that a child is abducted every 40 seconds. I said, you can break it to her however you want. That is just, there's 2 children in this whole packed room of adults, and she happened to be offended. But I said, you can break it to her however you want, but crime happens everywhere, and I just want little kids to know that information to stay close to their family. I don't want them to be scared. So Damsel in Defense, like I said, was started by Mindy and Bethany. We are more than a mission to equip, empower, and educate. We do a lot of donating, and we are in the Philippines, and lots of different local and national charities that we donate to. And I'm not really going to go over the products right now. I just want to talk to you guys about safety. So on the bottom of this sheet, you guys can score yourself if you want, or you can just kind of make a mental note. Do you or anyone you know travel? Anybody, show of hands? Anybody do any traveling? Okay. You ever taken anything with you when you traveled? You ever thought about where you're going? Who's pre-planned their trip? Who's researched the neighborhood and where the local law enforcement is? Who's carried a paper map with them when they were traveling in the car in the last 3 years? Yay, Ms. Ryder's prepared.
Maybe not in the last 3 years. Yeah.
Maybe 10 years, the Thomas guy before that,
Yeah,
right? So what if our phone fails us? What if we're driving directions? What if it takes us through the bad part of town? Maybe we should map our route of where we're traveling to. Maybe we should know where we're driving through when we get there, right? What's the safest route? Do you or anyone you know walk dogs? Show of hands. Anyone? Walk dogs?
Walk my parrot.
Walk your parrot, okay.
But he attacks people, so they...
Okay, so he doesn't get attacked by other parrots while you're walking around?
No, he attacks
Okay.
other people.
I've never tested the stun gun reaction on a parrot, so I'll try that. So my dog walkers tell me that dogs attract dogs. So they're like, I go walking with my dog. That's fantastic. Does your dog attract any other dogs? That's normally the situation. I was at the Port Rainy Sunset Supper last night, and my puppies are a year old. I guess they're dogs now, and didn't really go out of the house the first year, and so we're kind of training them to leave the house and go to parks and stuff like that. And I mean, they're brothers, and one was like attacking every dog he saw. But dogs attack dogs. Dogs go for other dogs. Dogs attract other dogs. So a lot of dog walkers want to carry pepper spray. What happens when you pepper spray a dog fight? What happens?
You get very angry dogs.
You get very angry dogs. Dogs don't stop fighting when they're pepper sprayed. It really doesn't have much effect on dogs. And what do we do when there's a dog fight? What do we try to do with our dog?
Grab them.
Grab them, get them out of the dog fight. Now who's pepper sprayed? Right? You are, the dog owner. So you spray the charging dog. The dog doesn't stop. It attacks your dog. You reach down to grab your dog. You have pepper spray flying. It just doesn't sound good. You guys are all like a blind eye. Who learned something so far?
What about the stun gun thing?
Anyone?
Can you stun gun the other dog? Would that
So-
kill it?
Okay, so I don't recommend you stun gun other dogs quite yet. So what happens when there's a charging dog is you fire a stun gun. Because the dog's senses are so strong, they hear it, see it, smell it, and feel it. You can actually smell the electricity of the stun gun. So the feedback from my customers is stun guns stop a charging dog.
Just by the sound?
Just by the sound.
Okay.
I don't know of a case where you've ever had to fire a stun gun on a dog. It stops them immediately in their tracks. Not 100%, but most dogs have a reaction to it. And I told you that I have brothers. One of my dogs runs and hides. The other one like looks at me with this like crazy head bobbing glare thing when I fire the stun gun.
Well, here's a question for you.
Sure.
Do they stop barking? Like when they hear that sound, do they stop barking?
The dog, what I've seen is dogs, yes, they are tail between their legs to as far away as possible. Even if I don't fire it and I walk over to them with it afterwards, like I said, their senses are so strong they can smell it and feel it when you fire it. But yeah, no, I wouldn't use it for training, if that's what you're thinking.
No, there's a lot of barking dogs in my neighborhood.
Yeah, so we can give you one on a trial that you
Yeah,
can
right.
run with and.
I'll check that out for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You should move to
Yes.
the north side.
I'm gonna say, and she does, she lives over there by me. Yes, it's, most dogs, it has an effect on them and makes them stop barking and stop doing whatever and just go cower in the corner. Exercising outdoors. Who runs every morning the same track, the same route every day? And we walk.
Walk, yes.
Walk. Outside. Every day. Same time? Not every day?
Not every-
Do you go on certain days? Just whenever?
Yeah.
Awesome. Certain days?
Whatever.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. without fail? Okay, so who knows that's a bad idea?
You
Right.
set a pattern.
Who knows it's a bad idea to do the same exact thing, right? So you don't walk every day at 9 a.m. You know, you change your schedule, you come home a little later, you leave for work a little earlier, you always vary your schedule so nobody can notice that, you know, you do things a certain way at certain times.
And you never drive the same route all the time either.
Never drive the same route?
No, never.
But what if you only have one way to go?
Then you're in trouble.
And you need
Can
her help.
can I ask why? And when I say this, okay? In other words, there's hiking trails. Why wouldn't I walk on the same hiking trail every day?
That's different, because that's a hiking route.
What about at school? In other words, it sounds like you're saying that people should not be doing things on a regular basis.
Exactly.
Why?
Because then someone's paying attention to, oh, I know that she leaves for work every day at 7:30 and she comes home every day at 4:30. So you can switch your schedule to go in at 7 to 4. Or you can, you know, just as much as you can. There are some people that do the exact same thing every day, and then that person knows that your house is empty from 7 to 4. That gives them full reign of your house to break in and steal all your valuables while you're gone.
Yeah, I don't mean to, be argumentative or something, but it sounds like you're saying we should get up worried in the morning instead of being positive.
Definitely never. I'm just saying, don't ever do a regular schedule. Like, I had a lady come by and she said, oh my gosh, I walk the same route every day at the same time. Then someone is just being knowledgeable of your schedule. Does that make any sense? Does anybody else have any feedback on that, or what do you guys think? I mean, she's saying drive a different route. I drive the same exact route every time. Talk to me, Bob.
No.
You're good?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, damsel in defense is never about fear, it's just about education, just things that you don't think about. Some people do the exact same routine every single day. So it's just knowledge and awareness. Commute to a job. Anybody do any commuting to a job? Anybody drive over here from Simi Valley? Where do you come in from, Will?
From the north side.
From the north side?
Wainimi Road, or Ventura Road to Wainimi Road, make a right.
You're good to go? I stopped
Visa
for,
to come to the south side?
My caution goes out and I hit the south side.
yeah, you're like, so, damsel in defense carries a road tool that has a glass breaker, seatbelt cutter, roadside beacon. So I drove by an accident the other night coming home from church on Monday, a group that I went to. And I stopped to make sure that everybody was out of the vehicle. Is anybody trapped in the vehicle? And it was weird because they were in the turn lane of Gonzales to Victoria, but that's not where the car had started. So it had been rolling through the intersection or something. But I find myself stopping all the time. I gave the ladies a jump after church on Sunday because damsel in defense, we used to carry a kit with jumper cables. And everybody's gone. 2 women sitting there in a car. The one daughter didn't feel good while the mom was at the meeting, and so she went to the car and the headlights were on and she was running the radio. They didn't know they had left the headlights on during church, but then when she went out after the meeting, she turned the radio on. So I couldn't leave them, damsel in defense, right? Not distress. So I just went back around, you guys okay? No, I had the tools, she didn't have anything. She was on the phone with AAA. All right, so talking about going to work early, getting out late, leaving. My sons both cross Hemlock when they go to school in the morning. I gave my son a little pocket flashlight because right before the time changed, it was very, very dark. So I taught him to shine the cars or shine himself, right? So not just shine himself, he was wiggling the flashlight like on his body. So, because that is scary to me that he's crossing that street. You guys know, if you're familiar with Hemlock. So I would tell him that if those cars aren't stopped, don't cross. But if they don't see you and they start to proceed or something, you're already way in the intersection when they're traveling very quickly, shine the flashlight in their face, shine it on yourself just so you can be seen and then get across as fast as you can. So just be careful when it's dark, exercising early in the morning, late at night, just be aware. There's something going around the internet right now on white vans. Do we all know the crazy white van story? Do we all know that creepy white van that hangs out at schools? It just seems like, well, what kind of vehicle was it? Well, it was a white van with no windows and like that big sliding door that they don't really have anymore. But it's just, I think, a rule of thumb when you're parked in a parking lot that you're aware of the other cars that are around you. Does anybody get out of their car and look at the other cars and see if there's anybody sitting in there? Yeah? So, I mean, it's awareness. All it is education and awareness. We are so busy, right? We're electronic. I teach the #1 rule to my safety seminars is no texting. No texting in parking lots, no texting. Did you guys see sorry, this is just so much fun. Did you guys see the video about the guy texting, walking into a brown bear? They were like live in the helicopter. And the brown bear was walking through the neighborhood, and so they were like following the bear through the neighborhood, and there was a guy walking up to the bear. Okay, it's on the internet. It's on the internet. I'm not kidding. I don't make this stuff up.
Was that real or was it a setup?
Yeah, no, I don't think it was pretend. Like it was a real bear.
Walking through a neighborhood.
You see a helicopter, because you know how sometimes bears travel down from mountainous areas and they end up in it doesn't happen very often, but they end up in residential areas. So that you can hear the commentary of the helicopters saying, look at that guy walking, and
I have to know, did it end badly? Okay.
his reaction was, they say on the video, like, his reaction was priceless, because he was like, and bolted. So yeah, no, I don't like those videos that end badly.
Yeah.
Why do they put those on the internet? Okay. All right. I had on here if you do any hiking. Does anybody else have any questions? Yes?
Yes, I noticed your little keychain weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Two questions, a question and a note. Is this the type, number one, that breaks the windows when you get submerged or you're trapped?
It is not designed for that, no.
Okay. Be careful when you go into the courthouse with it because they'll confiscate it.
They will definitely confiscate it. Do not take anything that you use for personal protection usually to any, not on an airplane, not to a state building, not to a government building, not. There's one woman is waiting to hear if her fine is 100 or 10,000 on a Kubiton on a plane.
Oh, wow.
Trying, she got caught. So sometimes we forget. So, but a Kubiton is actually listed at the airport. There's a picture of it. That's our design. They're different designs, but
I like the pink.
you like the pink? It's the
But it
shape.
is a neat weapon at close range.
Yes. So that's a
Could it be
Kubiton striking tool.
redesigned to have the window breaker adaptation to it?
What's that?
There's a tool of distance right there.
The what?
The new design,
Uh-huh.
that's it.
Okay, so we created one. We just came out with it, and it's in. All right, so we just came out with a Kubiton and a glove. So that's a pepper spray and a running glove. But we came out with a Kubiton like this without the keychain,
Uh-huh.
with a glass breaking tip. It's not allowed in California because it's a brass knuckle.
Oh.
Anything that's not a keychain, that's in addition to like your punch or your grab in California, is a brass knuckle. So I'm not allowed to sell. It's called the hard little hand. So it's for runners that just want to have this, and then yeah, if you need a glass breaking tip. But that's also a little bit more serious if you're in an altercation with somebody. I was actually marketing it to people that are disabled because we don't have a lot of products that don't work for someone that doesn't have a really strong grip. So like if I had a Kubiton on my keys, which I do all the time, and this is a striking tool. So most people grab you, like if I'm standing at an ATM and someone grabs me, they're not usually going to bend down and grab under the bend of my elbow. Usually gives me the ability to still bend my arm. So if they're holding me pretty strong and like they're leaned in, I can use this tool to get free from them. So this is a Kubiton tool. You call it a weapon. A lot of people call our products weapons, but they are just self-defense products or tools. I've had lots of people approach me about the Kubiton on my keychain because this has been around for many, many years in different shapes and sizes. Some are blunt tips, some are wood, ours are aluminum. But it's just something to have with you at all times. Makes it really easy to just stash your keys in your pocket, but it's a Kubiton. It's just a striking tool.
One of the quick notes, certain year models of Chevys, that kind of weight on your keychain will mess up your ignition switch.
Yeah. I get asked that all the time. Like, my husband's gonna kill me if I put that on my keys. So why don't you guys, we'll just do some live demonstrating. How about that? So this is what I do like at my safety seminars. All right. Don't hurt your neighbor. Okay. So what I want you to do is just tap a muscle part of your body. I like to use this one, or like your arms. Find a muscle, and with the tiny amount of pressure, it's a lot of force. So it's just in addition to, it's just giving you a little bit of assistance, right? Because your hands are classified as a weapon. So.
Let's go here. Jerry here. Here, Jerry.
Okay, pass them all back up to the front. It's good. All right, so who else wants to offer any safety tips that they have? Because I find it very interesting that lots of people have thought of things that I don't think of. So what is a safety tip that you'd like to share
I
with
have a
me?
question.
Sure.
The question is on the.
Oh, it's just there a point there.
Do you not be afraid of doing something
more than
to carry pepper spray. I hear different versions.
Yeah,
I've seen them before.
since Damsel in Defense is a home party company, we do everything above board and it's all legal. Our pepper spray is 18%, which is the hottest legal limit that you can carry. With the UV marking dye, it shoots up to 16 feet. You do not need a permit to carry pepper spray anymore. You know, the laws change quite frequently. But the law with us is 18 years of age with no felony for stun guns and pepper spray.
You know, I'm hearing what you're talking about, and I don't mean to, you know, be on the other side of this, but I know that most people are saying if something ever happens to you, have something on your phone that'll dial 911 immediately, that not to go into conflict with somebody. Everything that I have heard says that in other words, it almost sounds like what it's leading to is the next thing we'll get gun permits. And before long, you know, so I'm a little surprised by having weapons, okay, being distributed to the general public without any kind of training. Just the thought.
Right, and so Damsel in Defense strongly encourages you to get training. I have a training class scheduled in Newbury Park in May that I teamed up with a self-defense studio, and I've been marketing self-defense classes to all my customers for 3 years. Does anybody know Terry McDuffie? So her and I have tried on two different occasions to organize a self-defense class and nobody signs up, and I market to all my customers. So I give, like I said, education, and I give information on products. And so the response has been overwhelmingly positive, but there's a lot of people that say, yes, I'm gonna attract a fight. So we just say if it gets to that point, that you have something other than just yourself. You have more knowledge. You have a product. Does anybody else want to give feedback on that for Bob?
I am going to be on your side because I have 3 girls.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes the ideal situation of diffusing the situation doesn't really work.
Mm-hmm.
So, I teach them. I have a lot of friends that are police force, and we kind of always have a heated debates about this. But I teach them how to pepper spray, and when the awareness, number one, actually awareness, when they're walking out from the mall somewhere, your keys should be out, and you should check, you scope out everything. You just look at everything, because it's like in the city. You know, if you're living in the city, you just have that intuitive awareness of how to survive, survival mode. When you get into Thousand Oaks, Stevie Valley, Oxford, you know, you kind of lose that because. So I tell them that they have to come out and be aware of everything, because whoever is planning to commit any crime, they will not come to you if you're checking everything out, because they want somebody that's doing what you suggested on the phone and not aware of anything, because it also indicates weakness, not aware, weakness, fear, and that's what they'll go after. But if you look at everything and you have something like this or pepper spray, that actually gives you confidence. So then psychologically it gives you confidence. You look everything and you're left alone. You have a chance of not being, you know.
Right.
But of course, diffusing the situation is
Primary,
ideal, but
right.
it doesn't often work.
Right, and like I said, I'm not up here pushing products, we're about education. So we want women to have knowledge of it. And so how quickly, if someone's attacking you, how quickly does 911 get there? Like seriously, if it's escalated to that and someone's grabbing you, how quickly does 911 get there? I've had women talking to their husbands walking out in dark parking lots. I'm like, what? How quickly can your husband get there? Like if you're like, oh, get away from me, right? That's what your husband's gonna hear on the other end of the phone, right? And what's he gonna do? He's gonna be in a state of panic, but if you had your phone in your pocket, you're walking with confidence, you had your keys out, it's all about preparedness. And like she was saying, Damsel in Defense is about being ready beforehand, having the education,
No.
2-minute warning?
No, I wanted to add to that.
Okay.
Talking about the 911 phone number. We still have a landline at the house, because when you pick up the landline and dial 911, the police
You
know
know where you
exactly where that call is coming from.
Who still has a landline real
If you
quick?
dial 911 with your
Yeah.
cell phone, they still do not know where you are.
And if you're not able to tell them where you are, it
Keep
takes
that
them
in mind.
forever to track your
Keep that in
cell
mind.
phone.
Keep your landlines.
I have a landline with a corded phone at my house because my sons both have cell phones, and when I'm gone, I need to be able to get a hold of them, and I don't want a dead cordless battery. I've called for 2 car accidents in Port Hueneme, and Oxnard answers the phone. I'm standing on my street in the north side, and they say, let me transfer you to Port Hueneme. So when you call 911 in the north side in Port Hueneme, it goes to Oxnard PD. So what happens then? They transfer me. I'm being attacked. Now the phone call's transferring to Port Hueneme, and I'm trying to give them the information of where I am.
And typically outside of town, that on your cell phone, your 911 call will go to the highway patrol.
I think raising children is extremely challenging because you have the rules as a parent. You have to follow the rules of teaching them to be polite and nice and defer to the adults. But at the same time, you've got to teach them this stuff too, to protect themselves, you know. And they can't tell if you're teaching them like at the age of 10 or 12 to be polite if an adult stops them to talk to them. How do they know the difference?
Exactly.
It's
So be courteous, but be cautious,
cautious.
right?
Just a quick note, particularly for women and men, for that matter, when you have something around your neck,
Yes.
it's like a noose,
Yes.
okay? Scarves look nice, but if somebody wants to grab you, if you're a man, you have a tie on, if it isn't a breakaway tie, you're in trouble, because anywhere your neck goes, you go.
And they have a really strong grip, like if they were grabbing your shirt or your arm, you're able to like get away. Imagine how much extra, you know, like I said, it's not fear, I like to get my training from like reputable sources. I don't search the internet a lot, those videos just come across. When you're loading groceries in your car and you have a long skirt on, they take the skirt up over your head and toss you in the trunk. It's like, who thinks of these things, right? So, like she was saying, I thought of lots of different things when she was talking. The criminal or the person that's with ill intent is how many steps ahead of us, right? We don't have a criminal mind. We don't think about these things, you know? So damsel in defense is never, ever about fear. Like, I'm gonna scare you, you should be really worried. Y'all are gonna leave here and like, you know, you're gonna be really scared. No, I want you to leave here and glance around in the parking lot. What I teach is when you're glancing at people, in my head I'm going, I see you, I see you, I see you, I see you. When I'm walking in a parking lot and I see people, I'm looking at them and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And then in my head I'm like, I see you, and that's it. I'm not like, because then what does that make them think, right? So, you know, you're like, you're walking, you're glancing, you know, you're like making sure, you know, but you're still continuing on your path. This is not to make other people feel uncomfortable or like, you know, you're all bad and now that you got the stun gun in your purse. Like, I'll tell you what, I've pulled my stun gun out. We had the blues concert across from the beach festival, and I stayed there and I volunteered and I made sure stuff was cleaned up, and it was late at night, and I walked from, where are we, outside around the corner to that parking lot. I was scared. I was scared. I had my stun gun, but like, I have the fear if I ever have to use that. It actually scares me, but I feel better knowing that I have it. But I'm actually like, in my head going, what if I ever had to use this? I have had to fire my stun gun as a warning to a homeless guy in Northern California, North Highlands, at a hometown buffet about 4 o'clock on my son's birthday. I was leaving dinner, and when we walked out, 2 of the restaurant managers walked out also to the gentleman outside on his bicycle with his dog who was loitering and disturbing the customers, and they were saying to him, we've told you before that you can't hang around here, and he immediately like went on high alert and jumped up in their face. So I like stepped, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? So I stepped out of the area, I have both of my sons with me, And I stepped out of the area and I grabbed my stun gun out of my purse and I got it out and I got it ready. Because I didn't have it out when he didn't have it ready. I only get my stun gun out when it's nighttime, because that's when I use my flashlight. It has a flashlight on it. But I use everything else in daylight. But I'm like, here I am at 4 o'clock and I'm pulling out my stun gun. But I stayed out of the area and I just said to myself, if he's physical, then I'm gonna, fire a warning. So they walked back into the they were done arguing with him because there was really no point. So they started to walk back into the restaurant and he shoved them as they were walking back in. I fired it off, he flipped around. What are you gonna do with that thing? And I'll tell you why I was scared. But I just knew that it was my duty to make sure that he left the area. So I'm like, you need to get on your bike and you need to leave here. And he was mouthing off the whole time, and my kids will say, but he did exactly what, after he got on his bicycle and he left. So the whole time, they're having an altercation with him. You need to leave, you need to leave, you need to leave. It's not doing any good. He's gone. Right? So it did what it wanted to do. Did I want to run over there and drop him? Did I get up in his face and I'm all bad because I have this product? No. No, it's not like that. It's not like, but yeah, you feel a little bit better just having the knowledge. Feedback? Any other questions, comments, concerns? Does anybody take a walk around their house after they've been out of town for a week? Does anybody walk around your house before you go back in?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So you just want to check for any broken windows. I mean, you're exhausted. All you want to do is just flop on your bed. You've been out of town for a week. Even though you've been in Hawaii, you have to have a vacation from a vacation. I know how it is. So it just doesn't hurt to spend a few minutes. People have said, well, every time you go out to your car, look under your car. I think that's a little excessive for me. Does anybody glance in their car before they open the door and get in? Yeah, I do. Look at all these women, they're so awesome. And they're like, oh my gosh, I have to teach this to my wife. I hope my wife does this, Just takes
Especially at night.
one extra second.
If I'm somewhere at night,
Look at the back seat.
I always look in the back seat, always.
Just a quick glance, just.
Suzanne, I do have to say something that sometimes, like everything else, when you have children, you have to give them a good foundation. So you're doing the foundation of the awareness and everything, safety issues.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes there is a conflict within the education system, the high schools.
Mm-hmm.
There is a conflict because you're teaching them to stand up for themselves and safety issue and defend themselves. But when they come to high school, and it's like a war zone in some cases, I thought, oh my God, then there are different rules for that.
Right.
And so then as a parent, it's a terrible situation to be put in.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you follow the rules and instruct them to follow the rules, which is to go to the office and report this, they can't do anything about theory, like if somebody's threatening them, verbally. They have to wait for the situation to happen, and then they can act upon it. Well, two things happens. Your child is already beaten up, and the other thing is they've lost the ground in terms of other bullies will attack now because they saw the weakness.
Mm-hmm. And they know the
Isn't that
procedure.
right? So, but if you tell your child, no, you're going to stand there and give them as good as you get, you'll probably get beaten up, but give them good, because then nobody else is going to pick on you. If you do that, you've just broken the school rule, and there's a suspension, and then they have police on campus, and all kinds of stuff goes on.
Isn't it crazy?
So
Yeah.
that is a terrible conflict that you have as a parent, and something that we have to make to go one way or another. There's nothing in between.
No, there isn't. How many minutes do we have?
Yeah.
That's it? We're all done?
Thank you for your time. Last
Thank
question.
you. Last question or last comment. Yeah, I'm raising 2 teenage boys myself. Like I said, they grew up in Ridgecrest, which is a very, very small, safe town, and then Sacramento. And they're coming down here. They're like, Mom, my friend walking home, he drops his backpack and he wants to fight with me. I'm like, I know. So you just, walk home with them and be his friend, and it's just it's a different culture, but how do you teach them, to respond or to just, do what's right? And that happens with stalking. What do you do with stalking? You can't. The police won't actually do anything until something happens. So thank you guys very, very much for your time.